Okay, so I have started the recording. If you can hear me, please let me know. If you can see my screen, please let me know, and you can write that in the chat. All right, so we're getting started. This is the Working from Home with Mental Health Challenges webinar. Today, what we're going to talk about is best practices for working from home when you are someone who lives with mental health challenges. We're going to go over some tips that I use. We're going to go over some other information about the nonprofit, how Hope Game Center works. We may talk a little bit about the legit work from home groups as well, which are a program of the nonprofit. But mostly today, it's really to kind of go into a candid conversation about working from home when you deal with mental health things like anxiety, depression, PTSD, the laundry list of different mental health challenges that people go through. And the idea that it's not really that it shouldn't be something that people should be ashamed to talk about. And it should be something that we acknowledge and we recognize, and then we do the things that we have to do to make sure that we have safe working environments for ourselves and we actually want to work. And so I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide, and I'll talk a little bit about myself. So many of you who will watch this, and many of you will watch this on the replay, but those
Mhm.
of you who will watch this on the replay and those that are here today already know who I am because you're a member of the Legit Work from Home group. But just in case you're someone who's just coming from the website and you are not a member of the group, my name is Cherie. I'm the creator of the Legit Work from Home brand. We have over, I think, 6 groups with a total of 300,000 members. All of the people in our group are interested in working from home. All of the people in our group, um, not all of them live with mental health challenges, but many of them do. And everybody that is in our group are extremely helpful people that not only want to work from home, but they also want to help other people work from home. And I'm really proud to have created an environment of people who want to reach back and help others as well as get help themselves. And so I'm really proud of our group for that. I've been working from home for over 15 years. Um, when I first started working from home, work from home was really not a thing. I would say that 88% of the work from home stuff that you found was a scam. It was not legitimate work from home, which is one of the reasons why I started legitimate work from home because it was so difficult to find legit things when I first started. Um, the other reason why is because I am someone who lives with depression, anxiety, and ADHD. And I was struggling. I was struggling so hard in the brick and mortar world, constantly getting fired, constantly after explaining to employers why I couldn't come in. And I saw work from home as an alternative to working in brick and mortar, and I knew that I had to do something different, and that's why I started working from home, and it's been an amazing journey ever since. Um, I've been working from home ever since and never looked back. I just recently started to work back again in brick and mortar just to kind of break up some of the monotony of like working from home for so long. Um, and I just went back to working from home because I was like, I tried it again and it didn't really work out. It was just, there was a lot of struggles, but at least I tried it and I tried to make it work. So that's the good thing. And so the next thing that I'm saying will lead to our next slide of, living with mental illness myself, which is the reason why I started Hope Gain Center of West Michigan. We were formerly known as Hope Gain Network. But the reason why we started Hope Gain is because we wanted to create a nonprofit where we could help people like myself do the same thing that I did. People that were living with mental health challenges and they were struggling in brick and mortar and they needed another option. So Hope Gain was started so that we could help people work from home that were living with mental illness. So the vision of Hope Gain is to be the leader in ensuring that those that suffer from mental illness gain hope through long-lasting remote careers. That is our vision. That's what we're looking forward to. We want to be the number one nonprofit that provides those services and provides those services in different ways, which leads to our mission, which is to increase the ability of those who live with mental illness to get and keep long lasting careers by connecting them with legitimate remote opportunities. We do this through community engagement opportunities, workshops, training, and a remote career database. Give me 1 second. Like I said, I am sick, so I'm about to cough. So sorry about that. I was trying so hard not to cough in you guys' ears, so I am so sorry about that. All right, so let's get back into it. I did not want to cancel this webinar. Like I know that I knew that I was sick, but I was like, I am not gonna cancel. I'm gonna make it work. And I went back and forth a million times with myself, but I was like, I am not gonna cancel no matter what. We're gonna stick this one through. Um, so yeah, so now that I talked about the mission and the vision of Home Gain, I'll talk to you a little bit about the programs that we already have in place. So one of the programs that we have is Restore and Renew. The focus of Restore and Renew is to help those who are living with mental illness and may their situation in their home may have gotten out of control. So they may have one of the things that people with depression really suffer with is they are not able to get up and move when they're in the worst part of their depression. And so their environment around them can become very messy and very out of control. So what Restore and Renew does is partners with cleaning companies that are willing to come in and clean the homes of those who are living with depression and anxiety for little to no cost. So what Hope Gain does is we cover most of the costs and sometimes all of the costs depending on the situation and depending on the quote that we give. So someone who would want their house clean would submit a quote to the organization and we try our best to cover the entire cost of that quote. The cleaning company comes in, gets their home clean. And what we know from past studies is that having a clean home and having a clean environment really helps to support your mental health as well. So, um, depression is a strange thing because when you get depressed, a lot of times when people get depressed, they're not able to control their work in like their living environment and then not being able to control their living environment makes them even more depressed and it just kind of keeps them in this vicious cycle. And so the purpose of Restore and Renew is to kind of break that cycle and also to break that cycle so that we can connect them to a remote work program. When they participate in Restore and Renew, they are automatically enrolled into Hope from Home. And what Hope from Home does, it's a one-on-one mentorship program where we connect those who are living with mental illness to mentors who may also be living with mental illness as well, because the mentorship is more like a partnership where two people support each other through their work from home journey. They keep each other accountable, and the mentor will help with resume planning, with applying for jobs, keeping accountable, being there every other week to just offer that support. So that's the other program that we provide. Hope Gain is always building new programs. Some of the programs that we're looking to add is one for people who are living in domestic violence situations and helping to escape domestic violence situations by using work from home as a way of doing that. And then we also are looking at some other programming that we think would be a good fit, including one for those who are recently incarcerated or have records. So we're always thinking of different programs and different ways to help people who are living with mental health challenges. Programs that are new, innovative, and different from what we are seeing currently right now. So that is Hope Game. So let's get into our presentation and why we're here. So let's get started with what is working from home. So the common misconception that people have is that if they work from home, then they're going to be able to do whatever they want. And the truth of the matter is that working from home really works like any other um, regular job. You're gonna likely have a boss. You'll likely have coworkers. You will likely have set hours unless you're working as an independent contractor. If you're working as an independent contractor, then you're allowed to set your own hours because you're your own boss. But if that's not the case, then you will have set hours. You will have to adhere to companies' policies on certain things. Like some work from home companies require that you be vaccinated. Usually, those are the ones that are in the healthcare field. That's something that people get very upset and confused about because they're like, I'm working from home. Why should I have to be vaccinated? Well, you don't have to be, but you also won't get to work for the companies that require that. Now, and that's a common conversation. But like I said, work from home is really not that different than working in regular brick and mortar, and that's why you kind of have to be prepared, even though you're working from home, so you're already in a more comfortable environment. You still have to be prepared. So the best way to ensure that you have less anxiety around working from home is being prepared to do so. One of the things that you will need to get prepared for is the fact that not all companies provide equipment. So having your own equipment available just in case is going to be really important. Making sure that you have a clean, safe working environment is going to be another thing that is going to be really important here. And that led me to my next slide, which is create a safe working space for yourself, a quiet, serene space, having a noise, a noise, it's not a noise, it's like a noise canceling machine, a white noise machine in your space, or something that offers you a soothing environment or creates a soothing environment for yourself. Some people have plants that are around them that they use to kind of make themselves happy. But make sure that in the workspace that you're creating for yourself, that it's a very happy place for you, some place that that you enjoy going to. I definitely would not suggest that you work from your bed. That is something that will likely keep you in a place of depression, and so I would definitely make sure that you just avoid working from your bed. Make sure that you have an actual desk that you try to get up and move a little bit if you can, because that will help you as you're working and getting prepared to work. So this is supposed to say avoid high stress positions. I'm not sure what I was writing right here, but that does not say positions. So try to avoid high stress positions like high volume customer service. This is something that is going to be really important for your mental health. When you're deciding to work from home, you're going to run into a lot of companies that do customer service in high volumes. They likely will be the companies that are easiest to get hired in because there's thousands of them. That is the majority of work from home companies is high volume customer service companies. However, people that live with mental health challenges should avoid these companies because Usually you're dealing with loud, screaming customers almost 24/7, and it just doesn't work for most people who live with mental health challenges. Now, some people will try to do this anyway, and I would tell you that it just likely will not work out. Now, if you find that you can push through it, that's fantastic. But I will tell you that everybody that I know that is working from home that has challenges like depression and anxiety that have tried to do high volume customer service, they stay in jobs for about a month before they move on to the next company. And I've seen it time and time again where they start a job, they stop a job, they start a job, they stop a job. Now that may work for you, and you may be comfortable with that. But what we want, especially as us as the nonprofit, we like to see people stay in jobs for at least a year so that they can get that work experience. Um, I wouldn't want you to stay in a place that you were unhappy in, but it's best to try to avoid the situations where you know that you're going to be unhappy anyway. So what can you do? So that's what you may be thinking. You're like, okay, well, you just said that, oh, well, almost all the companies are high value customer service based jobs. So what can I do from home then? Well, lucky for you, HomeGain Center has a database of companies that we believe are champions in mental health. So even if they are high volume um, customer service centers, there are some companies that are like that, but really go above and beyond to make sure that the workers that work for them have mental health support, and they really care about the mental health of the people that work for them. So either the companies are companies that care database are like that. They're either companies who really are huge champions for mental health, or they're companies that provide a flexible schedule so that you, even if you are going through something mental health related, you can just take that day off of work. So those are the companies that we provide on our companies that care database, and you can access the companies that care database by going to homegain.org/companies dash that dash care. And that's how you get there. The link is also in these slides, and if anybody wants the slides, I can definitely send the slides to you as well. So what to do if you did take a high volume customer service position, or you just are overwhelmed, even if you super like your job, what to do when you just are overwhelmed, you're feeling very out of sorts, and you just need help. There are organizations that provide free counseling or listening support. One of those organizations is Seven Cups, and I included their URL in this slide as well. But Seven Cups provides free counseling. So all you do, you go, you set up a call, and you will get the support that you need. The other organization that provides free counseling or free support, I shouldn't call it counseling in their case, is Buddy Help, where you can just set up with somebody who's there to provide a listening ear. And I also didn't include the National Suicide Hotline there because a lot of times people get afraid of the National Suicide Hotline because they're like, I'm not suicidal, I just need somebody to talk to. But if you are actually at the point where you're feeling like you're super suicidal and you don't have to be I don't know why I said super. You don't have to be super suicidal, but if you're at the point where you're feeling suicidal, period, National Suicide Hotline has both an app, it has a way to text them, it has a phone number that you can call. So if you don't feel comfortable with making a phone call, you are able to text message the National Suicide Hotline as well. You're also able to use their app. Please reach out to get that support. I personally have used the National Suicide Hotline multiple times in my life being a 3 time suicide survivor, I know what it's like. It's very important to get the help that you need if you need it. But if you're someone who just needs somebody to talk to, Buddy Help and Seven Cups is there to offer a listening ear. Be kind to yourself. Some days you might not feel like getting up. Some days, even working from home, and even when you feel like work from home is 100% the answer, for me, I felt like work from home was 100% the answer for me. But I still cannot get out of bed some days. And I don't beat myself up about it. And I don't, I try not to call myself names and try not to be super hard on myself. I'm able to sit in that moment and understand what's going on and let it pass. It will pass. The pain that you're going through, the sadness that you're going through, the feeling of despair that comes along with depression, it does not last forever. That is something that comes and goes and it will pass. And don't make harsh decisions during that time. Take time to sit in that and just relax as much as you can and be okay if you can't do it. And try to, if you're someone who has, like for me, I know that I have extreme bouts of depression at times. And so I created a different work environment for myself that works with that. I only work as an independent contractor. I don't work any W 2 positions because I know that W 2 positions require that you work a certain schedule. And I know that I personally can't do that. And so I only go in independent contractor positions and I stick with that because I know I can take the time off that I need to take off when I need to take off. So also try to be aware of yourself. Try to know like um, that if you have severe depression, that you're gonna go in and out of these moments, and you may have to create a space for yourself so that work might look a little bit different to you. It's natural to feel overwhelmed when you get your first work from home job, or even if you're someone who has had work from home so many times, I still get overwhelmed. If I have to start a new company, I still get overwhelmed because what you're going to experience is a lot of times you have to learn new systems. You have to go through training. And during that training, you're going to have to talk to people. You're going to have to interact with people that you've never interacted with before. That causes huge anxiety issues. It's going to feel very overwhelming. That first initial push of that like 2 weeks of training that you may have to go through, that onboarding process, you're going to get lots of emails and lots of messages from people asking you to set up stuff and do things really quickly. It's There's going to be a lot of stuff going on. It always happens in that first initial 2 weeks of starting a work from home company or starting a work from home job where you just feel like I cannot do this. The key is not to not feel overwhelmed because you're gonna feel overwhelmed. The key is to be able to sit in that and work through it. Like I know that once I get on the job, it's not gonna be like this. It likely won't be as hard as onboarding and training and stuff like that. Once I get the hang of it, um, it's gonna feel a little bit different. And like I said, some of you will still try to go to companies that are super overwhelming, even the job is super overwhelming. But use your tools, use the things that I have given you. Take time to, if you're on a call, if you just had a call and that customer was screaming and yelling at you and you are feeling like so overwhelmed, do not just go to the next call. Tell Pause your little phone system, tell your supervisor what you're going through, and take a little moment before you move on to that next call to just breathe. Because if you just go from one overwhelming call to the next overwhelming call, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be good for you. You're not gonna make it. and you're going to be very frustrated. You're going to feel like working from home just sucks and you just won't want to move forward. So make sure that you take that time. And it's okay to tell your employer that you need to take a little small mental health moment. And if that employer fires you because of it or sees you different because of it, that is not the employer that you want to work for. And it's a good thing that you're able to move on. So consider that as well. And so we're coming to the end of our presentation, and we are now coming up to the question and answer session. I want to thank you for taking the time to come to our webinar, our Working from Home with Mental Health Challenges. I hope that this webinar really helps you on your journey. Please visit the Hope Game Center website to find out more about the Hope from Home mentorship program. Applications will be reopening for this program soon. We are right now working through the different people that we have in the program right now, but applications will be opening soon. Restore and Renew is a local program for Grand Rapids residents. So if you live in Grand Rapids and you're someone who's struggling to keep your home clean, please please go ahead and contact us about Restore and Renew. Restore and Renew will also be in every major city soon. We will, be expanding and opening up Restore and Renew to the United States. So with that being said, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then if anybody has any questions, please feel free to come off of your mic and ask those questions.
Can you hear me?
Oh, Pat, I can see you speaking, but I can't hear you. If you want to type your question, please feel free to do so. And so while Pat is typing her questions, does anybody else have any questions that they would like the answer to? It could be basic work from home related, does not have to be related to living with mental illness at all. Is HopeGain.org nationwide? So yes, HopeGain is a nationwide nonprofit. Some of
Yeah.
our programs are local, like Restore and Renew is a local program right now. It won't always be because it's a physical program. It is one of our local programs, but Hope from Home is nationwide. Anybody in the United States can apply for Hope from Home, and most of our programs will be like that. And all of our programming is at no cost. Well, I would say that because you might have a little bit of cost with Restore and Renew depending on how big your quote is for cleaning. Um, but all of our digital programs are at no cost to the user. All right. So, any other questions that you guys have? This will be recorded, by the way, so you will be able to go back and watch. If you want access to the slides, I can send those out as well, and I will be sending the recording of the slides to everybody. Actually, um, do you know company if any companies have evening training? So I don't know specifically of any companies that have evening trainings, but I would think that what you probably want to do maybe, and maybe you don't want to work in the evenings, but your best bet is probably companies that hire in the evening as far as having evening training. Because usually if they hire in the evening, then they will have evening training. Um, and another thing that you may want to look into is night dispatching. That's like dispatching for trucks. Um, and that's something that you can do from home. And those trainings are almost always in the evening, and the jobs are always in the evening because truck drivers drive all night long. And so with that job, it's really you're just calling the truck drivers and asking them like it's the quickest call you've ever made in your life. You're picking up the phone, you're saying, "Hi, so and so." You may not even know their name, but you're picking up the phone and you're saying, "Hi, can you let me know where you're at right now? What's your ETA?" And then they'll say, "Oh, I'm currently headed into Chicago. I'll be at the door at probably 5 minutes or whatever. I'll be there an hour." And you say, "Okay, thank you." And then you hang up. That's your call with night with dispatching, and then you take some notes, write in some little notes about where the driver is, and then you get to the next call. Like that's what dispatching, truck dispatching is. It's the
Okay.
simplest job that you could possibly do in the simplest call. Now, I will tell you that truck drivers are not always the happiest people in the world. So they're not going to be the most pleasant people that you've ever talked to, but they're also not going to cuss you out. I mean, if you ask them too many questions, they will. they they can get a little spicy if you asked one question and they answered it, and you asked a follow up question. They do not like that. So you might get it, but that's extremely rare. Most of it is literally you picking up the phone, where you at, when you gonna arrive at your next destination, and that's it. Like I accidentally ended up calling when I was doing night dispatch. I accidentally ended up calling a truck driver that was asleep, or not. Yeah, he was at home asleep, because I had the wrong time zone.
Oh,
So he was very upset because I was waking up a truck driver, which is like the worst thing you could possibly do because they have to get like all of their sleep because they drive all night. So you might do some silly mistakes like that. But I think that that's a good job for someone who's dealing with, that wants to work evenings is also dealing with mental health challenges. Because, like I said, it's very rare that you get someone that just yells at you or cuss you out. Um, so, with that being said, any other questions before we close out the call? I gave a half hour for questions. But if you don't have any questions, that's
second.
fine too. Yeah, so Kanisha, I'll also look into seeing if I can figure out any companies that have evening trainings. But also, when you guys have questions like that, people that are in the legit work from home group are happy to answer those questions. So that's always the best place to answer questions about like companies that have specifically evening training, or companies that have a specific of anything. Is really because that you have a pool of 160,000 or so people who possibly have worked from home in the past or are trying to currently work from home, to answer like specific questions about working from home, because I've only worked for so many companies. I can't really give you like insight on every company, but with that pool of people, they're able to give insight on a lot more companies than I would be able to give insight on. So I know that it's hard because our group doesn't always have our posts open, but when we do, please feel free to submit those kind of questions to the group as well. So I've been working from home for 20 years, but my work has been around website maintenance and virtual assistants. I just lost a client and I'm about to be without a job. Do you run across anyone needing this type of work? So I would say I don't run across anyone specifically needing this kind of work, but I do see this kind of work a lot of times when I'm doing my searches. So when I'm searching for different work from home jobs that might help the people that are in our group, I do come across a lot of virtual assistant stuff. I also come across website design and maintenance stuff. I come across that all the time. So I definitely suggest that you utilize Indeed to kind of find that what you're looking for, because Indeed is really a great place to search for work from home. I always tell people Indeed is not a good place to put your resume on and apply for jobs, but
Okay.
it is a good place to search for them. And when you
Oh,
find them, then you go to the company's website, you apply there. Um, so Indeed is like the number one top search engine when it comes to finding work from home. Um, and that would definitely be where I would send you to about those kind of positions. I see a lot of jobs needing people for answering services. Is that overwhelming job like calls a lot? Yeah, it answering services are going to be a lot of calls. I would say that they're overwhelming calls per se. Um, Usually the callers for those are pretty mild people that just are calling because they really just need help. But it is a high volume call position for sure. Any answering service that I've seen has been high volume calls. And then you also have, your independent contractor positions, like NextWrap and LiveOp. I mean, even though those jobs are super overwhelming, I would never suggest them as like mental health friendly positions. But the thing is that they allow you to work on your own schedule. The training is on your own schedule, but once you get to the actual job, you can schedule a half an hour shift and get off for the next 2 hours and then come back and work another half an hour. I mean, you can schedule your schedule like that with both LiveOps and NextWrap. So they potentially can be good for your mental health, but I personally would not say that they are. Um, in answering services, again, potentially maybe, but I wouldn't say that they really would be like a mental health friendly kind of position. Um, I'm gonna one more question before we go, if anybody has one. Any, sorry about that. Any advice about Upwork? Are they legit? Thanks for the advice on Indeed. Thank you so much
Oh,
for the
that's
webinar. I really need
sorry.
to hear all of this, especially about the call center customer service thread. I know that's not for me, but I'm going to try anyway
Oh
because
no.
I feel desperate. I decided not to look at those. And Pat, I will say thank you so much for telling me that this was helpful for you because that is really, really important for me to hear that this was helpful. And then also, it's okay to try the customer service stuff.
Yeah.
Like, please do not get scared and like, I don't want to be in a customer service now. It's okay to at least try it and see if it'll work out for you because some people, what is overwhelming for me may not be overwhelming for you.
Oh, it
You
was.
may be like, you may get in there and love it. Like there were days where I actually, it's funny that you mentioned Upwork because I worked internally for Upwork as a customer service agent for Upwork. Um, and that was like one of the most overwhelming jobs that I had, but it was also the happiest job that I had. I was the happiest when I worked in that overwhelming work environment because I really truly felt like I was helping people in that environment. And so sometimes you might get those jobs that are like super overwhelming, but because you know that you're actually helping people, it kind of cancels itself out. So that's how it was for me working with
Oh,
Upwork. It was call after call after call. You get off one call, the next call is coming in. You had to keep a 80% or high customer service rating to keep your job. But I was up there in the 99% the whole time that I worked there because I was so happy to help the people and I really felt like I was, helping the people. So that leads up to Upwork. Is Upwork a legit company? 100% yes they are.
okay.
Here but they have flaws. So you can also work the way that Upwork works is they are a freelancer marketplace. So companies come to Upwork, they post their jobs. All of the jobs that are posted on Upwork are work from home. They post their jobs. Freelancers create a profile, and then they bid for the jobs that are posted by the company.
Okay.
Now, Upwork used to be free. They're not free anymore. Now you have to pay for connects. I think they still give like a certain amount of connects for free, um,
Yeah.
but mostly you have to pay for connects with Upwork. And so you pay for those connects and then you apply for the jobs that you think are a good fit. So major flaw with Upwork is that if you're new and you just create your profile,
Yeah.
it is almost impossible to get a contract. But in order
Okay.
to get in order to do well at Upwork, you have to get a contract and you have to get a certain score on your profile in order to get more jobs. Your
Okay.
goal is to become top rated. Once you become top rated on Upwork, the sky is the limit. You no longer have to apply for jobs. You don't have no longer
Okay.
have to do anything. They will send you jobs. Companies will chase after you. You won't. I mean, you will be overwhelmed by the applications that you get once you become
Mhm.
a top-rated freelancer. But it's the
Yeah.
issue, like I said, the flaw with Upwork, it is
Yeah.
very hard to get to that level. You have to
Okay.
start out by taking jobs that you don't really like in order to get that
Yeah.
top-rated badge. And I always tell people to try to find those jobs that are like, we just want you to download a game and review our app, and we'll give you a 5-star rating.
Okay.
Find those. If you can find three
Oh.
of those, that will get you to Rising Star, and it will make it a lot easier for you to get to the top rated badge.
Oh.
And those
Oh.
jobs are only about half an hour. So you can get that
Yeah.
5-star rating in a half an hour of downloading an
Yeah.
app, playing a game, and then leaving them a review on the Google Play Store or the App Store or something like that. So try to look for those ones when you're at Upwork that are just like that easy. We'll pay $15 to review our app, and we'll give you a 5-star rating.
Yeah.
$15, it's nothing. But the purpose of it is to get you easily to that next level on
Okay.
Upwork.
Okay.
So that's my advice for Upwork. I got a million and ton of different
Okay.
advice for Upwork. But I personally was top rated for a very long time on Upwork. I am now nowhere near top rated because um, I haven't worked on there in a long time. And when
Yeah.
you stop working on there, they drop your rating down to almost zero. So I think I'm like at a 46%. I went from like a
Yeah.
98 to like a 46% because I
Yeah.
just stopped working on there. But like I said, once you get top rated on there, you'll be good to go. But that
Okay.
process to get there is a tough one.
Okay.
And they
Okay.
are a legitimate
Sherry, I'm a
company.
little late
But
to the
and you can
game,
also
but
work
how can I get
internally
in?
for them as well. So Polly, I can see your little thing moving, but I can't hear a word you're saying.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
I don't know if you're talking or not. Like it looks
Can you
like
hear me
you're
now?
talking, but I can't hear a word you're saying.
Can you hear me now?
And it also makes me feel like maybe it's me because I'm like,
I can
you're the
hear
second
her.
person that's talking and I can't hear. But it tells me in my little thing that my audio is fine, so I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
She
Can
changed
you
my
get
speaker to my computer and see if. Oh, so you could. So yeah, you could hear her. So this
Yeah.
is my issue. Okay, now I can hear you guys. I changed the speaker to
okay?
the
Okay.
laptop speaker.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a little late to the game, but I still wanted to know like how can I get any information that I had missed?
Okay, so this is recorded, so I will send this recording out to everybody, and it will also include the slides. So you'll receive an email from me if you actually register, then you'll receive an email from me with the recording and the slides as well. So you can go back and rewatch it.
Okay, I'm not sure if I registered or not. I just got notification a little bit ago, and I did say attending and everything, but I don't know if that was technically the registration or not.
So that's not, you have to fill out a form in order to register. But what you can do is just send me your email in the chat, and then I can just add you to the registration.
I think
Okay, and how do I do that?
There should be a little chat box on your screen,
Looking here.
yeah.
like a little
It
square.
says in a call messenger. I don't know if that would be because I'm looking at my options and it says in call messages.
Uh,
Okay. Hold on one second. I'm gonna stop recording.